Hi, this is Marcos Oliveira. I'm here to do another video about JavaScript. This time is going to be about variables. Okay. In order to do this, we need a HTML file just to have something to publish the results. So here we are using Sublime. This I call the JS HTML file, and here the JS file. Okay, this is empty now. So in order to establish, the first thing that we are going to do is establish a connection between them using the script tag. This script tag is like a portal that allows JavaScript to receive HTML files to receive information from a JavaScript file. So to do the connection, we add a attribute called search src. And we type the name of the file. If the file is inside a folder, we put the folder / the name of the file. In this case, the file is called JJ, as you can see here on top on this tab. So jj.jj. I'm sorry, js.js. And I save the file. And the very first thing that I recommend that anybody working with JavaScript is to test it, okay? Because otherwise you're going to run in the situation that you write 50 lines of code, JavaScript will ever complain, it's just to stop working, and you are going to spend, like some students, like half an hour or sometimes more than that trying to figure out what's going wrong. Okay, so by doing this, we are going now to establish the connection, and let's test the connection. I'm going to use a function called alert, and I will explain in the future what a function is. Basically, alert is going to print, let's use this word, a message on your website. Okay, so in this case, I put it between quotes because those are words. JavaScript treat English words differently, so we put in between quotes. So in this case, let's put something like it's just a message, okay? And another thing important is that I end every line with a semicolon, okay? So I save it, and I go back to HTML file, and if I right click and open the browser, and here is the message, meaning that my connection is working. Okay, so I'm gonna close this, and I go back here. Now this is the way I work. And again, the objective here is to avoid that you have you write tons of lines in JavaScript, and when you try to check if it's working, JavaScript is just not going to work, and you're going to be scratching your head thinking what's going on, what's wrong, especially in the beginning when you're learning. So we are going to use this alert as a measure to see if it's everything that we are doing is right or not. Because JavaScript, like HTML, works from top to bottom, we are going to write everything that all the other codes on top of alert. So what does it mean? That when I write something here, if I made any mistake, alert is not going to work. Okay, so a variable. What is a variable? A variable is like a container, empty container that you're going to add something that can, you can put a number, you can put a text, or you can put what they call booleans, and this is the name of the scientist that created this. And the boolean is going to have two parts, or two options possible. One is true and the other one is false. At now seems like it doesn't make any sense why somebody would have, but this in the future is going to prove really, really useful for you. Okay, so another way also that I see that I can describe a variable is like a empty Excel file. This empty Excel file has, as you see, empty cells, right? So when you use the keyword, let's put this way, okay, that in this case is var, V-A-R, you are giving JavaScript a command, and you are saying, please create a space that would be a cell, and the JavaScript is going to do it. Okay, so this is enough to create. Okay, but if you create, for instance, 10 vars, how do you identify, how do you separate them? So let's put it a name. Okay, and in this case I'm gonna call num. Why I don't use number? Because there is one thing called reserved words. Those words, they mean something, and when you use them, JavaScript is going to do something when you use those names. So you should avoid using those names because they are reserved words. Because a number is a reserved word, and I'm going to talk more about reserved words, I am using num instead of number, and this will prevent me to make a mistake. Okay, so because I'm going to create more than one, I'm going to call this num1. The equal sign doesn't mean equal the way we learn in school. Means that whatever is in the right side, please put inside this empty variable called num1. In this case, I'm going to put the number 25. And again, finish this as a semicolon. Okay, so I save, and now let's test it. And because I have my alert, so means that I did everything right. Okay, so I go back here. So suppose that now I'm going to change the content inside alert and put num1. Okay, so if I put num1, okay, what do you think is going to happen when I publish my website, my page, I mean, the content of num1? Okay, so let's create another one. I go here to next line. What it takes me to another thing. I could put this everything in one single line. The problem is that JavaScript is going to work just fine, as long as I put a semicolon between. The problem is that the developers are going to have a hard time following one single line that could take, for instance, like 1 mile long. Okay, so let's using every other lines, okay, in even spaces. So var again, This time I'm creating another one to differentiate the first from the first one, called num2, and I'm gonna give I don't know, 14 and semicolon. Now this is where things get interesting. If I put here alert num1 plus num2, and I know that you know what's gonna happen, but so I have the total. So with variables, okay, so I could put any number here, and I didn't have to change num1 plus num2. So if I go here to 35, for instance, and save, and this happens, and I just have to cancel and save it again, and so okay, so how we would do that, use this. For instance, you have a form that you are putting items. Those are prices. So the form, you put the price, like $35 in one of the cells, and the other one you put 14, and you say, okay, what is the final price? And the computer gives you the final price by doing this. Okay, so here you have addition. The same thing work if I use subtraction. Okay, so, and if I subtract, okay, 21, and if I go here, and if I multiply, okay, and I just go here, okay, and I can also divide. So you can do with variables, you can do the 4 operations. And I save it again, and I go in the HTML, okay, and here I have 2.5. Okay, so here is how we do variables. We create variables. We can also use a text in using as I said, Boolean, but this is going to be for the next video. Okay, so thank you so much, and see you next time.